Good morning to all the distinguished participants to the this webinar. At the outset, I would like to extend my warm greetings to the President of the Pratiksha Educational Trust, Dr. Pramod Kumar Sharma ji, and also the Vice Chancellors, Dheeraj Bora and Dr. Deepika Deka. Besides my friends and colleagues, Munindra Deka, the President of the State Pharmacy Council of Assam, who have still got fond memories of spending time there with him when I was last in Guwahati, and also Satyendra Deka and other friends who are organizing this event. I hope my voice is audible to all.
Yes, sir. It is audible to you, sir.
Okay. As said by the President, Dr. Pramod Kumar Sharma ji, that these are extraordinary times and a lot of initiatives need to be taken. And similarly, our Munindra Chandra Deka ji also emphasized that how pharmacists can play a important role in this pandemic situation. I would like to mention here, when I asked the organizers what particular topic they would like me to speak, they said, no, you just speak about the situation and something motivating all the pharmacists across the country, and particularly so in Assam, so that how they can involve and help in prevention of COVID. In this direction, I have been trying to reach out to the pharmacists across the country and looking at different ways where we can be helpful. Quite often, we try to relate ourselves with what is happening in the society or in front of us, and we feel that we should also do the same thing. But there are many things behind the scenes which need to be addressed and are equally much more important for the control of the situation in the country, as well as keeping its economy alive and going on. As we may see, pharmacists have been playing an important role, particularly in making available the medicines across the country without even any disruption, whether it is in the drugstores, or it may be in the hospital, or it may be at the manufacturing site. So we have been playing our unique role in the fight for COVID. So we don't have to feel that we have not played a significant role. Yes, we can play more roles and try to partner with the other health professionals and try to see how we can reduce their load, which they are so overwhelmed with so many other responsibilities and challenges coming before us. The most important factor in the COVID prevention, besides, let us say, trying to take swabs for testing or trying to manage COVID patients in a quarantine situation, or it may be providing healthcare support to critically ill in the hospital. There are so many other steps which are associated with that, and which we as pharmacists can play a role. And first and foremost is creating an awareness among the people. That's the most important thing which we have to do. Because the drugs or vaccines may come this month, next month, 3 months later, 6 months later, or 1 year later, we don't know. The whole world is trying to get that miracle drug or solution for the challenge which the whole world is facing. But when that will happen, we will know only when it happens. We cannot know before. So in that direction, so what can be done best is to make the people prevent from falling ill, prevent from getting into the situation where the whole country is struggling to cope up with. It is easy for all of us to say that I want to go back to my home and I want to be with my family. I am stranded. Yes, we understand that. But when we are understanding that and we are moving forward to reach our homes, we in the process also make sure that when I am going back to my home, am I going to put at risk my own family, my own community, my own people around. This is something important message which we have to spread as pharmacists. Yes, going home is nice, being with family and friends is very nice, and I don't have a earning here, so I would rather go back to my home so that I don't have to spend that. All that feeling is very nice, but the most important thing is, what am I going to do? Just because I am going from one place of high risk to my hometown, am I going to put at risk my whole family and community? Is something which everyone has to think. I don't say that everyone is carrying a risk home, but he has to think, make sure, and try to create his own self-imposed quarantine, that even if he goes there, what will he do to prevent the spread of corona accidentally, because he also doesn't know whether he is carrying the virus with him or not. So this awareness is very important. So even when we talk of awareness, now our focus, our what you call as we should narrow down our focus in awareness. Now, as a migrant, if you are returning, what you should do to safeguard your own family or friends. I think this is something which we can, as pharmacists, put structurally together. Instead of broadly, yes, the hand sanitization, then wearing a mask, these are all is a very standard procedure and protocols we are following. But what are the risks we may carry back home when we are going as a migrant from one city to another city? Or even yesterday, we could see the airlines opened up and said, yes, we are going to allow passengers to travel. Life has to go back to normal. We agree that, and a lot of people flew from one destination to another destination yesterday. But along when they travel to that next destination, what are all the potential risks he or she has brought to that place? No one is aware. So only he is aware what type of risk he has brought in. So that individual has to be very clear that how I am contributing in this process and what steps need to be required. So as I come back to the opening statement, that extraordinary times require also extraordinary leadership. It is not that we just accept it and do it. When we talk of extraordinary leadership, we have to find out not all can become provide that type of leadership. Few people in our people can do, or a majority may be able to do it. So for the first step for that, when you want to look at high extraordinary leadership, we have to find out with people with such high potential who are there can provide that extraordinary leadership. Now, let us say if you look at the one transition which we as educationists did, that was when we talked about transforming from physical related or the classroom based education to online based education. There were a lot of challenges. We people were wondering, how do we reach out, how do we transition from the classroom teaching to online teaching? I am not familiar with technology. Students, how will we reach them? Whether they will have access to internet in their places? How will we continue to conduct classes? These were all the challenges which we as teachers faced when we wanted to transition. But somehow we have overcome that, and perhaps the teachers have played a very, very strong role across the country, be it pharmacy colleges or even schools. The teachers continue to work in the background, not just said, no, the college is closed and we don't have to take any classes. Maybe there will be few exceptions, but in most of the places, teachers continue to teach, engage the students, and continue to help them to learn, so that when the colleges reopen and when the schools reopen, they would be back to the physical classroom and be able to guide the students to go to the next level. Now, when we are looking at this situation as a principal, let us say, if I am looking at a leadership, I should understand that all teachers may not be able to adapt to the new technology or new process. So we have to identify who are the teachers of potential, high potential, who can quickly adapt and move on towards the to the online teaching, and how do we rearrange our own workload. So what can really happen is, those people who have problem with communication on technology, they can prepare the learning resources. So somebody at the background can keep preparing the learning resources, and the delivery is being made by the person who can with ease deliver the communication or the information to the students. Somebody may be good at assessment, so he can or she can continue to work at the back end as assessment, on the assessment part of the thing, rather than actually giving a live lecture or a deliver lecture to the students. So what I am trying to tell is just an example in education, how high potential need to be identified and tried to be exploited in such situations. And today I see from the various speakers who are going to speak today at the webinar, there are the physicians and who will be talking to you about the who will be talking to you about prevention of COVID infection in community and how do we move forward. Dr. Jinder Chanda, the drug controller, is going to talk to you about what you call as the best practices in combating COVID. Then there are several such interesting topics which are related to COVID and which we will be learning. But most importantly, what I would like our young teachers and pharmacists across the country is to tell is that there is going to be a world even beyond COVID. So let us not get obsessed only with COVID at this situation. Like when we talk of pharmacists, we all as pharmacists are talking that we have to play a role in COVID prevention. Yes, we can play a role, but there are so many thousands of people who have other ailments than COVID. Who is going to take care of them? If you are looking at the pharmacists in the hospital or in the community pharmacy, there are so many patients with blood pressure, diabetes, other ailments, geriatric related ailments. They all are coming still to the pharmacy to get their medicines and help and advice. Now, are we going to neglect all those patients who are there in that pharmacy? Or our focus, the whole focus is going to be only coronavirus and COVID? So I think we have to learn to move beyond this. Yes, we have to all join hands to fight the pandemic, but somebody has to run the other things of the healthcare delivery also. It cannot be left to the thing. Like let us say, all the hospitals in the country were asked not to conduct any elective procedures under emergency situation, unless it is an emergency. Now, what do we do? A person, he has got a certain ailments. He requires a surgery. It may be a hernia, it may be a fistula, it may be a hemorrhage. It's not urgency, but he has to reach out to that. Now, can all the hospitals be closed down till the COVID goes away and then only we'll start the treatment? No, it's not possible. So now we are going back to the normal life, telling that, okay, take necessary steps so that the infection of corona does not spread among the health professionals, and the infection is not spreading to the other patients, and the patient who is coming in for such treatment is also not infected. Carry out the necessary steps to prevent, but we have to provide him the care that is required. So I think this is something we have to keep in mind, that the world does not begin and end with corona and COVID. World is moving further now and looking at how do we live the world beyond corona now, because they tried their best. They tried the community related lockdown system. They have tried the research to develop the new drugs and vaccines. They all are in the process of different stages. But now if we are going to move away from the whole system of running our lives, then after 5, 6 months, 10 months later, we will be in such a situation and of distress, such a situation of distress, which may be even worse than that of the distress which we are facing because of the COVID pandemic. So one of the messages which I would like to do is, while understanding all the speakers who are going to speak to you about COVID, I think we have to also know that the other parts of our life also has to go on. Yes, we need to develop a vaccine for COVID. That's fine. Does it mean the development of our vaccines for other diseases should be put at the backstage? Is there going to be another form of hepatitis virus which is going to come and threaten us? So how are we going to be prepared for that? So I think our knowledge and research and efforts should continue to be broad-based. Now the focus is on COVID. Let us talk about it, but let's not leave aside the other things. One of the challenges which because I assume there are a lot of participants would be teachers here, would be for the teachers to get back to work. Now, already we are finding, like, in my own university, I find a challenge that after 45 days or almost 2 months of staying at home and working from home, when we are looking at the teachers or students returning back to the offices and classes to carry out the other work, it is a big challenge. They feel very hesitant to move back to the normal life. So what is going to be our future? Are we going to be hesitant because we are used to some part of life in that? And so, if we are going to be hesitant, then the whole new norm will come where we may lose our roles and identities which we are already talking. So I think it is very important for teachers to continue to play the important role of being a mentor and a guide and to a student, rather than just talking on either in person or on webinar, a lecture relating to the curriculum. That is only one part of the whole learning and teaching process. The more important part, which is in building the personality of a student, is our human interaction, building the values in the student, and all these things should become become the factor which we are going to continue to provide to the students. If we become hesitant to come back to play that type of role again in the classrooms, then we can be for sure feel that we will be relegated to a role of just being on a video call and talking to students, and the real role of a teacher may be forgotten or lost in the coming year. So we have gone through these difficult times, and we have moved forward also to a certain extent. Now it's time for all of us to come back and work with caution, work with the safe steps that is required, and not compromise anybody's safety and health is something which we should keep in mind. So I would like to congratulate here the Pratiksha Institute as well as the Assam Pharmacy Council to organize this meeting, because I know though it's a webinar, but still to get people on board, then organizing such an event takes its own time and planning. And particularly organizing such events in times of distress is much more difficult. Just now in the morning, I was reading a mail. A big international conference, which is the FIP Congress, which is held annually and gets about 5,000 to 6,000 people attending, has just been postponed. It was to be held in Spain this year, and seeing that it is not going to be possible, they postponed it to the next year. So these type of changes are happening across the world, and if that is the case, in spite of that, if you are coming online, and as told by the president of the State Pharmacy Council, that every problem has a solution, and so this solution has come where we are talking with each other and communicating, and I am sure that these communications should go on. One thing which I feel is that this technology which we are using now, yes, it can definitely increase our efficiency in communicating more frequently, but it cannot become a substitute for our real physical meeting. So that also will happen. So let us not find this as an easy way of doing things, because easy ways has got its own compromises, and that may be a challenge again in the coming times. And only those people who will survive in this post-COVID period, who know how to balance what they have experienced during the COVID period and adapted it, and also to move forward with what they were before the COVID. So I think only those people who understand this and know how to balance it and move forward will be finding surviving and moving forward in the coming years. That will happen. If you feel this is an easy way which you have found, I think then it is going to be a big risk which people are taking, and they will start wondering what did go wrong. So I can go on talking on this topic because it's very dear to me, but I would like to listen also to the other distinguished vice chancellors who are there on the meeting, and learn something from them. So thank you very much. Once again, I congratulate Pratiksha and also the Assam Pharmacy Council, and wish this meeting the very great success. Thank you very much.